Good afternoon, and thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this year's Child Welfare Summit. Thank you to Georgia Appleseed for inviting me to participate to talk about something that is very important. The topic of this discussion is the importance of school justice partnerships, as well as the potential. And I really think the potential of school justice partnerships is very important during this time. Just to give you a little bit of background about the School Justice Partnership in Fulton, it's actually called Pathways Project. It was started in 2015 with a group of partners that have direct relationships with children in schools. And the focus of the partnership was to stop the school to prison pipeline. Our main goal was to stop some of the offenses that typically happen in school that now end up in juvenile court, forcing kids into the juvenile justice system. I always say the things that we got sent to the principal's office for, kids now can get arrested for. And so we wanted to stop that pipeline into the justice system. We were able to get the partnerships of both the Atlanta Public School System and the Fulton County School System, along with some community partners to help us figure out what we needed to do to stop the pipeline. So who's at the table? Again, both school systems and a lot of community partners. One of the things that I learned in doing this is that it's really important to engage the people who are actually on the ground doing the work. And in a school justice partnership is technically the schools that are really on the ground doing the work. So getting their buy-in, getting their support, and letting them take the lead on a lot of the discussions was really critical, because they are the ones on the front lines, if you will, of students in school. And so we were able to get key people like the school social work counselors, as well as the school police and the school discipline coordinators. Some people may think that I should have started with the superintendents, and frankly, I did try to start with the superintendents, but sometimes it's difficult to get leadership at the table at that level. Fortunately, I was able to get the leadership who were actually, again, on the ground at the table, and they bought in. And so for both school systems, we were able to get MOUs signed and to start the process of trying to divert some of those cases or offenses from coming to court. We listed out a number of school offenses that would no longer be directed to court. They will be handled administratively or through the school resource officers. And fortunately, with our first full year, we had almost a 38% decrease in the number of cases coming to court. I am very proud of our partnership because we did not stop there. We could have sort of rested on our laurels and said, you know, we got some good data and we can, you know, pat ourselves on the back and move on. But everyone was really engaged and really diving deeper into figuring out how to serve kids, how to not only keep them in school, but to keep them engaged, not to just keep them out of court, but actually to keep them in school and to be successful. And so I am extremely proud that we're still meeting today, and everyone is really engaged in figuring out how to even address more issues. You know, I would say that schools and the courts are sort of like the hospital or the emergency room. We really don't have a choice as to who we accept. We have to take kids and their families as they are. Many of their problems, their trauma end up on our doorsteps, and we're somehow expected to wave a magic wand and fix them. And schools are certainly expected to educate kids and help them graduate no matter what troubles come through their door. And needless to say, those troubles are very much a part of our societal issues, a lot of inequality, income disparities that create those problems, mental health issues. So as a fellow partner, our partners who have to really address those sort of systemic issues that are beyond our control, I think it's really important that we work in concert to address those issues. So we started subcommittees. We actually had a subcommittee that got a grant to go to Georgetown, and several of us became school justice fellows based on our work in Fulton and our projects that we wanted to present to this community. And one being really addressing how we integrate kids back into schools who have been out of school for significant amounts of time because they've been detained or they've been involved in court. And so we've been trying very hard to work around how do we really, you know, have a group or a cohort of people to really help them reintegrate in schools. One of the things that came out of that was also a grant for to get the youth advocate programs in Fulton County. They are affectionately known as YAP. And YAP has a very innovative and I think very effective and hands-on programs where they partner individuals who are actually from the community, who have experience with children in the community. They know the community, they know the businesses and the resources in the community, and they become not just their mentor, but actually an advocate that can help them get to school if they need to. If they need school uniforms, they'll make sure they get the school uniforms. If they're on medication, they'll help them develop a schedule to make sure they're on their medication. If they have to come to court, they make sure they come to court, even during COVID. And we are having everything via Zoom. I had a YAP advocate with the kid in the car on the phone during our Zoom hearing. And she said, you know, my job is to make sure he's in court, Judge. So they're very, very hands-on and very hands-on with regard to their school as well. So that was a partnership that grew out of the Pathways program that we're very proud of, and we anticipate it will continue. One of the things that I regret that we haven't done more of, and because this is a child welfare summit, I think it is important to point out the need for the Department of Family and Children's Services and the welfare, child welfare piece to be a part of our partnership as well. Of course, you know, we have, a lot of us have dually involved kids who are both on the delinquent side and on the dependency side of services. And while Pathways typically focused on the delinquency side, I think going forward, we really need to think about how do we integrate the child welfare piece in our vision and our goals as well. Needless to say, keeping kids who are in foster care in school, and I think we just recently, a law was passed that we have to really look, schools have to address the trauma for almost any foster care kid coming into their doors. So again, this is a way, any kid, if a kid who is dually involved has a delinquency or any court involvement, frankly, has to get back into school or different schools, we can work more in concert and making sure that we're not duplicating trauma assessments, for instance. Every time a child has an assessment, that's re-traumatizing. And so this is a great place for us to get a collaboration and a partnership to determine, you know, has there already been a trauma assessment done? Can we share that with the school? Do we need to reinvent the wheel? And I'm sure there are a lot more other ideas and solutions that we can find if we're working together with the child welfare piece. With COVID, I'm sure there are going to be issues that we haven't even thought of. One of them, of course, is the truancy issue with kids not logging in online. And I think that they'll probably uncover some educational neglect issues. Educational neglect is a reason for finding dependency. Certainly, we don't want to bring a lot of kids into the system because of that, but we still need to address that issue. And so if we have the department at the table, then we can work together to figure out how do we address the educational neglect without having to remove children, but work with schools and the courts to really find a robust way to address those issues. So I encourage anyone who is interested in having a school pathways partnership in your community to certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to anyone further, but I would recommend that you do explore it. The more we get out of our silos and really work together to solve problems for children and families, the better we will all be. We don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. We don't have to deplete our resources. We can actually multiply our resources when we put them together, as well as making sure that families have a very clear roadmap to their success, right? So if a family has all these demands coming from school, the demands coming from the court, and demands coming from the department and their probation officer, that is a lot for any of us to have to think about. But if we could, develop, again, robust plans when kids are touching on all those systems to have them, one roadmap to success, and clear partners or clear advocates or contacts if families are having problems, and clear resources for us to reach out to, because a lot of the problems, again, are not something that's we can address internally, but are problems that will require the community. And so if we are able to have a robust list of community resources, um, we're able to collectively vet those resources, monitor those resources to determine who is and who is not an effective resource, the better we're all able to serve our children and families. So again, thank you for having me. I am happy to help in any way that I can to help guide anyone who's interested in establishing a school justice partnership in your community. Everyone stay safe. And again, thank you for having me.